Hello, everyone, and welcome to the best and worst of Walt Disney World, brought to you by DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com and Disboards.com. I am your host, Ryan O'Clavin, and this week's episode, we're talking about the most underrated attractions with the shortest waits at Walt Disney World. And to help me have this conversation, we've got Morgan Limon.
Hi.
Corey Fiescanaro.
Hey, guys.
And Craig Williams.
Oh.
And we're going to jump right in here. The first one of my favorites, one of Morgan's favorites as well, is located at the Magic Kingdom. And what would that be, Morgan?
Mickey's PhilharMagic.
Yes, I do very much enjoy this one. I feel like oftentimes you can hop in here, unless it's raining, you can usually find, I don't know, like 10 to 15 minute wait, I feel like, right?
And the only reason it's up even that high is because it's a show and you got to wait a little bit and let out. And so I think that's the only reason there's somewhat of a wait. Otherwise, it'd be really quick. And yeah.
I also feel like it is underrated, as in a lot of people just think, oh, well, it's a 3D show. It's whatever. You know, we have a lot of 3D. There are not often as many 3D films at the Cineplex these days. But there's just something about it when I go through and it shows all these like highlights of these classic Disney movies. Like you've got, Little Mermaid, The Lion King, Peter Pan, Aladdin, all these things. And it's just like, when I'm leaving there, I'm like, I've got the song stuck in my head. I want to go watch all those movies now, and I just think it's fun, and also it gives Donald his time to shine.
Yes.
You know,
I think it honestly really gives Mickey his time to shine too, because you think of like Walt Disney World, the first character that comes to mind is Mickey Mouse. Granted, we have Mickey's Runaway Railway coming now, but for the longest time, this was the primary attraction that Mickey was featured in. So whenever we had people come stay with us from out of town, from Massachusetts, that might have not been to Disney ever, or it might have been since they were a kid. This is always something that we go ahead and do. We always go ahead and do Mickey's PhilharMagic, and everybody that I bring to it always loves it.
Plus, who doesn't love the smell of the champagne when that blasts you right in the face, too? It's great. Fiasco, you've got our next one on here, a classic Disney attraction, a favorite of mine as well.
Yeah, so I actually had two around the same area. Do you want me to talk about the one
about the one that goes in a circle first.
Okay, let's talk. Let's talk about the Carousel of Progress. Absolute classic. One of my favorite attractions on property. And I think that if you weren't a lifetime, or at least a Disney fan for a while, a Disney Parks fan for a while, this is something that you would totally glaze over. Or even if you've been to the parks a few times and you've been on Carousel of Progress, you might not think that highly of it. But when you really it's such a classic attraction, something that was presented in the World's Fair, along with rides like Small World. That was its original origins too, and so classic that the original voice of this attraction isn't anymore, but the original voice of Carousel of Progress was Walt himself.
I feel as if Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress is to Walt Disney World as Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln is to Disneyland.
That's a perfect comparison. Yeah.
I think it is one of those ones where I mean, I'm not saying it does not need some updating perhaps in the final scene, but it still is one of those where it is cool. I love anything that has a lot of the moving parts and animatronics like this attraction does. And plus the song is catchy, am I right?
It's so catchy. And I actually just did it with some friends that were in town, and they couldn't figure out if the stage was moving or we were moving. So the fact that you don't immediately know for newcomers to think oh, where's it going? So I love it. Love the dog. Love the whole family. It's a great ride.
Did you want to mention the other one you spoke of in that same area as well?
Oh, the other one that I spook of in that same area.
I didn't even realize.
By the way, I'm wearing the shirt too.
You're all matchy-matchy.
This new merch that you can pick up in Tomorrowland.
I think you hate Peoplemover.
But it's Peoplemover. and I'm channeling a little bit of Steve Porter with me right now today when I speak on the Peoplemover. This is like a top 5 for me. I don't remember if I put it in my top 5 list a year ago when we did it, but it's a top 5 for me. I just love this. I love this attraction, and the fact that you can, and now it's getting more popular as the years go on, and it's demanding more of a wait. I've been to Magic Kingdom 3 times in the past week, and every time I've waited about 15-20 minutes to get on it, which is very long
for its normal wait,
the Peoplemover. But for 15 to 20 minutes to be a long wait for something, I mean, that's pretty good. Because a short wait for it is walk on, which is most days, and it's you see so much of the park when you're on it. But not only that, is you see a little bit of touches of things that you would miss if you had never went on it. Like there's that little space dog in the crater that's part of just that ride itself. You're not going to see that space dog anywhere else. And other little things like that, like a little sneak peek into Buzz Lightyear with the ride actually going on. You get to see from the top down, and then going through Space Mountain with the astronauts there, and you see people going on their little takeoff. It's great. It's great.
I think what I like about it is even when the line is as long as you've said, like it's always moving, so it's never, you're never standing still. So even if it looks like it's a long line, it's really not that long of a wait, and it's underrated in the sense where you are sitting down, and even on a hot day, you still got that breeze going through, and it takes you out of a crowd because you get your own little like pod, your own little seating area on the vehicle, and it does give you really cool views of the park. But I think it's a nice place to collect yourself, and therefore I do think it is very underrated.
And it's not as slow as like you think. Like it picks up speed in certain points and hits some turns, and so it's kind of, I don't want to say thrilling, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Than just a slow ride that you think it would be.
Well, I'm going to say one more at Magic Kingdom before we pop into another park, but I also think that the Country Bear Jamboree is a little underrated. I think that there are the people who are big Disney fans who, who go and recognize that this attraction has been around for so many years that, they'll go and it has this diehard fan base. I think like younger people, it's not something they would even stop or consider or look at, And I brought, like, my cousin has only been to Disney World once before. They're like shut-ins. I don't know what's wrong with them. I hope they never see this, but he had, I don't believe we had done Country Bear Jamboree on his first visit, so he did it a second time, and he thought it was hilarious, and he loved it. And the great thing about Country Bear is how many people can go into this show. So like, it really, I've been lucky enough that you only have about like a 10 to a 15-minute wait on that, which is really nice too. So I think it's great, but.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of goes into I think the same respect to Carousel of Progress, where if you're not a longtime Disney fan, a longtime park goer, this is something that you're totally going to glaze over and think nothing of. But it really is a classic. And I mean, going back to, connecting Walt Disney to all this type of stuff, is his whole goal for the idea of Disney was to create a place that the whole family could go to and get enjoyment from the attractions being offered there. And Country Bear is kind of a great example of that, in the fact that it entwines some adult humor that's still pretty PG, and it's going to go completely over all the kids' heads, but the adults can kind of get a good chuckle over it too. And it's again a classic that I love and is great.
I like that there's like two different experiences, like going on as a kid, like you don't know what's going on, like you just said, and then you go on later and the guys that turned me on turned me down, and you're like, wait, and it totally catches you off guard, and it's totally a different experience.
I think it's one of those that if you're on the younger side and you've never done it, I think give it a try now again. The older you get, the more you'll appreciate it. Such an old person thing for me to say, but
it ages
I
well.
am an old person now, an older person, but Morgan, you've got another one over at Epcot on here that you enjoy in the Mexico Pavilion.
Yes, the Grand Fiesta Tour. I absolutely love it. I always just pop on in if it's less than a 15-minute wait, which it usually is. And I love anything with Donald in it, so it truly makes me happy.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites as well. I couldn't agree with it more. I love slow-moving boat rides with no drops. I love pirates, but whatever. Grand Fiesta is one of my favorite attractions, a must-do hit every time I'm in the parks, because like Morgan said, you can basically just walk on whenever you want. There's almost never a line, and if there is a line, it moves really, really quick. And then again, you get that entanglement of those classic Disney characters with Donald and the other caballeros who, happy 75th birthday, guys. You look great for your age.
Speaking of that, the best part of this attraction, if you haven't done it in a while, is the animatronics of the three of them at the end. I really enjoyed that.
It makes me really happy. And the fireworks on the ceiling, too. That's
well,
a
and
fun little effect.
I actually honestly feel like a lot of the the attractions that accompany the countries in the World Showcase are mostly overrated, with the exception of one that we're going to talk about in the next version of this show, which is the most overrated attractions. But at Animal Kingdom, I had two on this list, and I think some people agree. The first one being I think Dinosaur is underrated, and I do think, like I've said on the show before, I was not a big roller coaster kid, but this is something that is exciting. It's thrilling, and I got to do it recently with I had some family in town, and they had friends, and it was there was a younger girl around 6 or 7, and she was basically just that height, right under being able to do a lot of stuff. And so but she wanted to do on rides. She was so scared on this ride, but then when she was done, she was like, "Can we go on it again?"
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
And it was so. I love that about this ride, that it's like more people can do it. And if you're afraid of heights or any of that stuff, you could still do this. And it's exciting and thrilling. And I love all the dinosaur animatronics. Plus, dinosaurs and time travel are like two of my favorite types of stories. You know, Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, put those together and you've got this attraction. And then the wait times have been kind of increasing over here, but I still think that you can get in, and on a average day, you're probably going to wait around like maybe less than like 20 minutes because of where it's located in Dinoland USA. It's like tucked in the corner, and I feel like it's a underrated and like passed by too much. But
it's also like a ridiculously easy fast pass to secure the day of, and next to maybe something like Slinky Dog, I think it's probably one of our best introductory thrill attractions for somebody who might not have experienced any coasters or thrilly type rides yet, and maybe want to like dip their toes into it and see if they can handle it. Next to Slinky Dog, I think this might be our best thing to go with.
yeah, and sorry, go ahead.
Good. Dinosaur was actually one of my favorites, and I wasn't able. And then later on in life, I was able to go to Disneyland for the first time and ride Indiana Jones, and that is same exact track for those of you who don't know, but it was so cool to see the same and then also different, and then the wait times are different. So if you can't get on Indiana Jones when you're at Disneyland, just go to Dinosaur. It's kind of the same.
I don't
not really.
even know that they are identical tracks, to be honest.
I think they are.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
'Cause
they
I was
so
like,
are.
The car doesn't move the same. That's why I just wonder, but maybe they do. I don't know.
The track.
You
go on.
Rhino, you've seen how the cars move. They can literally be programmed to move any way they want.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. The car moves different and creates a different type of experience. So that's why I'm like, I don't.
But the
consider
track
The
is the
track is
exact
the
same.
same.
Interesting.
We'll go ride it, and I'll see all the Indiana Jones cues.
So the last one on this list here is also at Animal Kingdom, and that is Tough to Be a Bug. Again, I did this recently. I find that I do this whenever I'm at the park with somebody who hasn't been in a while. It's not something I'm going to just frequently do on my own.
Yeah.
But this show, I've honestly never waited more than 10 minutes for this show. But I think it's underrated as in you get amazing views of the Tree of Life that you get to walk in under, and the show is in the Tree of Life. But then also when you're in there, like the animatronic of Hopper is so cool, and I think the 3D effects they use are fun. Like when the can sprays and the spiders come down, it gets a little exciting, but then everybody always, I feel like, laughs and giggles at the end with like the bugs under your butt and stuff. Like, I think there's a lot, like, it's one of those shows where I don't seek it out, but when we go, I'm always like, this is a good show, you know?
I remember waiting when it was like brand new for like 3 hours as a child when it first opened. And then I remember sitting on my mom's lap at the very end, and then, you know, the bugs go under and she like threw me off of her. I didn't know why till I was an adult. So I have that sweet memory of the ride and stuff. But
And I mean,
ride.
I think that the only reason you're actually going to wait for this ride is to wait for the next show. And when you're in that room waiting for the next show, take some time to look around, because there are some really awesome posters that like reimagine classic films to be bug films. That's really cool.
Also, this is not a ride. We've already had this discussion once before, and now everyone is calling everything a ride.
Attraction.
It is a show that you sit on a bench for. So if anyone out there is concerned about that. But that is going to do it for this episode. The list again was Mickey. Mickey's PhilharMagic, Carousel of Progress, Tomorrowland Transit Authority, Peoplemover, Country Bear Jamboree, Grand Fiesta Tour, Dinosaur, and Tough to Be a Bug. Those are the attractions that we feel are the most underrated attractions with the shortest waits. at Walt Disney World. Agree or disagree? Let us know in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube. If you are watching, please feel free to rate and review us on iTunes. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. You'll get notified whenever we have all these sort of videos if you click the little bell. So we hope this episode could help you plan a better Walt Disney World vacation. And remember, if you need help booking your next Walt Disney World vacation, be sure to head over to dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Let one of the expert agents over there lend a hand, and you will be the happier for it. Thank you guys for having this discussion. Thank you everyone out there for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time with another episode of The Best and Worst of Walt Disney World.